everybody. The international break is finally over. Norwich City returned to action on Saturday in an interesting encounter at Carrow Road. Leeds United, the visitors. Of course, we've got the element of who's in the dugout as well, which is going to be an interesting dynamic. Looking forward to it. And with that, delighted to be joined by Barney from the Roaring Peacock Podcast. First of all, Barney, just asked you off camera, how have you found the international break? It's one of them where I think it divides opinion amongst fans. Some fans quite enjoy a little bit of a break from club football. Some fans maybe just wait for club football to return. So where you sort of sit on that divide?
No, first of all, thanks for the invite. For me, it's just nice to get away from football. Sometimes it takes over your life too much during the season. So having an international break is just nice to spend some time with the family rather than worrying about where you're going to get your 3 points from next and if you're going to get into the playoffs or relegation and stuff. So it's just nice not to think about stuff like that.
Yeah, it's always one of them where it kind of, I feel like it dictates a little bit based on the results previously. Sometimes if you're in good form, you want to continue that and the break comes at the wrong time. And for someone like us, it's kind of maybe come at a good time where we just need to sort of, I suppose, go back to basics and sort of focus on the upcoming games. Going to take you back, which is something you're probably not going to enjoy, to last season. And relegation is something that we've suffered on multiple occasions now, so we've kind of got used to it. But it's never easy. You had sort of 3 managers during last season as well as an interim, Jesse Marsh, of course. Then you had Javi Gracia, sorry, and then Allardyce as well. So it's kind of one of them where you look at it from afar. It was maybe a little bit of a mess, would you say? What you'd sort of take on last season and how did it transpire?
It was just an absolute car crash of a season. You can't describe it anything else. The start of the season, I thought, right, we're getting some players and we're spending some decent money in the Premier League. Let's see how it goes. And I wanted to give Jesse Marsh a chance. I really did, because I think he's an all right bloke. He comes across all right. But in the first 10 games or so, you could just tell this is not going to work under Jesse Marsh. He was very much one of those managers who's all very much about the vibe about him. He spoke a very good shop. But when you saw his team, sometimes you just thought, no, this isn't going to work. Then Garcia, I thought it was going to work with him. Then that Crystal Palace game, I'm a season ticket holder. I've never been to a game, come out so shocked and thought, how have we managed to lose that game 5-1? The first half we were all over, and then a lot of people were actually thinking, right, we could be in the top 10 now. And then all of a sudden it just fell off. There was rumours there was actually some fighting in the dressing room at half time, so maybe that could be the issue. And then the final thing for me was Sam Allardyce. I thought, no, this is just getting silly now, and it was never going to work under him. The players were just absolutely deflated from it all. As soon as you could just see the players were broken from it. Every time a goal went in, you just thought, yeah, it's the same old story. It just looked soft.
Yeah, you then come down to the Championship after a few years in the top flight. Lots of players depart on sort of loan deals, some permanent deals as well. The likes of Rodrigo, Aronson could go on. You then bring in sort of lots of players more later on in the window, the likes of Joel Pirro from Swansea, who's a goal scorer in this division, the likes of Glenn Kamara, a man who's well documented in his time in Scotland. So what did you make of the transfer window generally? I think it's one that's kind of was across social media, and the fact that Leeds have maybe done these deals in the past that haven't really gone in their favour now they've dropped down to the Championship.
It's not very Leeds at all what we've done in this transfer window. It's players that, I hate the cliche, but it's players that understand the league, understand what you need to play in this league. It's players that have got experience underneath the belt. It's just not very Leeds. We've gone down the route when Victor Orta was there. They did get some gems, and then there was some other players that just they weren't ready for the Premier League or even the Championship. So it's not very Leeds, and it all feels very normal, which we're not used to.
Yeah, which one of the sort of new players has maybe stood out the most? I think it's always one of them where fans kind of have now had a little bit of time to judge them 11 games into the season. Has there been one that's maybe stood out above the others?
Ampadu is absolutely fantastic in midfield. He just does everything really, really well. Archie Gray, for me, 17 years old, is absolutely ridiculous of what he's doing with the ball and how he manages himself on the pitch. His leadership is something I've never seen in a young player before. The last game we played, he played at right back, and everyone's like, what? And the people say that he does play right back in the England squad. But it's just brilliant. It's just absolutely. I've just seen a 17-year-old flourish, and probably you would say the Championship is probably one of the hardest leagues in Europe, and how he's managed himself is impeccable for me.
Yeah, a manager who tends to get the best out of young players is now in the Leeds dugout. Daniel Farke, who we all know very well, 208 games in charge of Norwich City, 2 promotions, lots of really great memories that will forever be cherished by the Canaries. What have you made of it so far? I mean, appointed in July, a little bit of a difficult start maybe, but that's something that I think Norwich fans came quite accustomed to with Daniel Farke, and the way it maybe takes him a little bit of time to get up to speed. But it seems like maybe he's got it going now. How have the Leeds fan base taken to him?
Yeah, I think we love him. He's just everything that we've wanted since Bielsa left. He's a manager that what he says you see on the pitch. I mean, the first few couple of games, that was not going to be Farke's team. You could tell that. You could tell that some of those players were going to leave. But how he's managed himself out, how it's been such an upheaval in the summer with the new ownership, the way some of the transfers have gone, some of the loans have happened with some of the players, how some of the players have reacted with relegation and wanting to leave the club. He's handled himself really well, and the football is actually really enjoyable to watch. Last season, it was a real torture to watch Leeds United at Ellen Road because we just looked weak. Every time a team went forward, it looked like we were going to concede. But with Farke, it looks like we've got a solid foundation in defence, and then we actually play some really, really good attacking football as well.
Yeah, something we came quite acclimatised to, good football, and it was always an enjoyable watch. But are Leeds fans willing to give him time if it doesn't work out this season? What maybe is the expectation? Is it promotion straight back to the Premier League? Or maybe if that doesn't materialise, would they be willing to give him another season, do you feel?
For me, yeah. I'm hoping to at least top 2. Obviously, the very minimum is playoffs for us. But I think the fact that the ownership has come in, it's a very different ownership. It's very quiet, it's very under the radar. It just does everything how it should be done. And I think look a bit more professional as well. So I think the fact that we look a bit more professional with how we're doing our transfers as well, I think Farke will be given more time. But that I just feel like we're just ready, we're just under the radar a little bit in this league. Everyone's talking about Leicester and Ipswich, how they're doing. They're going to get some blips in this league, but I just feel like we're just underneath the radar a little bit, which I quite like as well.
Yeah, 3 wins in 4. It feels like maybe he's got it going now, Daniel Farke. What have you made to the start of the season more generally? It's a little bit slow maybe at the start, which can be sort of natural when you come down from the Premier League. It's kind of getting that momentum back and the confidence back amongst the squad. But maybe what have you seen in terms of more recent performances and recent games? Are you starting to see it gel and hopeful maybe that you can now push towards those top 2 places?
Yeah, I mean, after the last previous international break, I thought we played really well after that, and you could tell that they've been working on the training ground. We looked a lot better. Now we've got some of the new players that seem to be gelling really well, and also the fact we've got some players coming back from injury as well, which is really good to see as well. We've got a real good squad now. Over the last couple of seasons we were lacking depth in that squad. Now we've probably got 2 or 3 positions in each position, which we never had before. It was very much like square peg round holes. It is, and it wasn't working. First few games, I never thought this is what we were going to see because, like I said before, this was not going to be the team that we were going to have going into the season. But now the fact that he's had not a lot of time with some of the new players that have come in, it's really good. And seeing Ruta, I mean, he looked a broken player last season, our record transfer player, and he looks like a bit of a cheat mode in this league, the way he plays sometimes.
Yeah, another man in the Leeds squad that Norwich fans are well accustomed to, Sam Byram, who, of course, left us in the summer, went to Leeds and kind of initially just to try and build up his fitness, and he's now got a contract there and seems to be starting quite regularly. What have you made of his return now to Leeds? Of course, a player there in his previous past as well. Is he, providing a sort of pivotal role in that position at right back?
To be fair, I think he's been a revelation for us. The fact that he came into I mean, a lot of people said, "Oh, he's," because he had an interview on the recent official podcast, and he was at the Hearts game, and one of the Leeds, typical Leeds fans says, "You're only here because no one wants you." But how he's managed to slot into the team, and he's one of those players that just does things really well. He's a solid 7 out of 10 all the time. He never puts a foot wrong. He's always really solid, and the left back issue has always been an issue ever since Charlie Taylor left Leeds. But he's slotted into that position really well, even though he's meant to be playing at right back. The only thing for me is that I think Farke knows how to handle his fitness, but I don't think he's going to be able to play week in, week out, which is one of the worries that could be later on into the league, into the season.
Yeah, another player who often can't play week in, week out, but joined Norwich from Leeds in the summer, Adam Forshaw. We've seen sort of glimpses of him so far. Did start a game against Swansea a few weeks back. It feels like maybe he's one of the ones who might start on Saturday. What do you make of his time at Leeds? How well reflected is he by the Leeds fans, and what sort of reception do you think he'll get on Saturday?
Me personally, I thought it was a really good midfielder. Just one of those midfielders that read the game really well. He wasn't one of those. He just read the ball, read it really well. He understood where each player needed to be. It was really tidy on the ball. I just felt really sorry for him with his injury record, because if he hadn't had those injury records, I think Leeds fans would have seen a really good midfielder that we needed. A lot of Leeds fans, because of his injury record, didn't think he was a good player, which I think is a little bit unfair on him. One of the things as well is that I remember when Bielsa first came into the first season, he said Forshaw is one of those midfielders that could play in the Champions League because he's that good technically on the ball. It's just a shame that it never worked out for him. But you could tell he was a real good player in the dressing room, and a lot of players respected him, and he respected the club as well. He respected what it meant to play for Leeds United.
Yeah, moving the attention now to the game on Saturday. Just intrigued to see whether you've seen much of us this season, whether that be on TV or sort of from afar watching highlights, and where you maybe gauge us in the Championship. We've had a little bit of a dip in form of late. We are now still 7th, but it's kind of in that tight bracket of team. I think you're just above us in 5th, where it's a chance maybe to pull away, or you could easily fall away quite quickly. Have you seen much of us, and maybe what sort of test you expect to face on Saturday?
I've seen some of the highlights. Like you say, very hit and miss. Some games you play really well, and then some games you should be getting something out of seem to not be working. Farke is a really good coach in this league. It's going to be an interesting game because I think we sort of play a similar sort of style, so hopefully we don't cancel each other out. And obviously Farke might want to make a point. He's got fond memories being at Norwich, so hopefully he might want to make a point and say, right, and he's also had another international break with the players as well.
Yeah, always goals between us and you guys. I think the last 0-0 was in about 1992, which is about 25 games ago now. So there's always tends to be goals. Is there maybe a game between us in recent years, or even sort of going further back, that maybe sticks in your memory? I think there's a few from our perspective that we could go down, and maybe the 3-1 at Ellen Road in the season we won the title, and unfortunately you fell out of it. But is there any other games that maybe stick in your memory?
I think it was the one that in that first season, Bielsa, obviously we lost at home, but we beat you away. We saw some really, really good Bielsa ball there. We saw some how Bielsa ball is going to look like. I thought it was really interesting on how Norwich set up against us in the when you played us at Ellen Road, and it showed what tactical nous Farke has got. The way he just blew us apart. We didn't know how to handle it. We were going into that game feeling very confident about getting a result, but then all of a sudden it's 3-1. Where's that come from?
Yeah, hopefully we get a good game on Saturday. Are you confident? And I want a score prediction from you for our viewers.
I'm confident. One of the reasons why I'm confident is we're good in the defence now. We've got that solid foundation there. So, but I still think it's going to be quite a tight game. I'm going to go 1-0.
Yeah, so I think it could be a really good game. Farke's homecoming. Really intrigued to see what kind of reception he gets from our fan base. That'll round it off. Really do appreciate your time, Barney, this afternoon or this evening as it is now. And this will be going out shortly. So if you're a Leeds or Norwich fan, then of course, hopefully you've enjoyed the show. Lots of really great content across our channels upcoming as well ahead of this one. Do you just want to plug the podcast you're part of as well, Barney?
Yeah, so we're Roaring Peacock. We're very hit and miss with our podcast, but when we do it, we have a lot of fun. We don't take ourselves too seriously, so give us a watch. There's loads of videos on YouTube.
There we go. That's the place to go if you're a Leeds fan and you want to get your content. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you at Carrow Road on Saturday. Looking forward to it, and hopefully we get another exciting game of football.